Hi everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about something called neurons. I'm going to talk a little bit about what they are and just the basic parts of them. So first off, I want to mention that neurons are excitable nerve cells. They receive information and project it to other parts of the body through electric and chemical signals, which in short can be referred to as electrochemical signals. Neurons can connect to one another and form networks, and they can also communicate with each other at a location termed as the synapse. The synapse is where one neuron transmits its information to the next. So now that we have some sort of basic idea as to what neurons are, let's take a look at the different types of neurons and their shapes. There are three basic types of neurons. The first I'm going to talk about are sensory neurons. They are often referred to as afferent neurons. And they're responsible for bringing information in to the spinal cord. They also have receptors located in the peripheries, so like in the muscle joints and the skin. They are also unipolar. So by that I mean they have only one axonal process projecting out of their cell body. So it looks a little something like this. And just to illustrate the idea a little further for you, so this is the spinal cord, and this is the sensory neuron just bringing information in from the peripheries to the spinal cord. So it travels that way. It brings all the sensory information towards the spinal cord. I'll just label this for you right here. So this is the spinal cord, and then this is your peripheries. So think of it like your fingertips, the skin of your fingertips, your muscles, your joints, etc. So that's one type. Another type of neuron is called the motor neuron. Now, the motor neuron is referred to as efferent neurons, and they are mostly responsible for and control muscle contraction. Motor neurons are located in the cell bodies of the spinal cord, and they project information outwards towards the muscle in an attempt to contract it. And motor neurons are also multipolar. So by that I mean they have many axonal processes and dendrites coming out of the one cell body. So it looks a little something like that. Just a quick drawing. And most neurons are multipolar. And just to illustrate this a little further, you have your spinal cord over here, once again. And just to zoom in a little bit on this, the cell bodies of the motor neuron are located here in the spinal cord, and they project outwards and just towards the muscle. So they synapse onto the muscle. This is the muscle. So I'll label that for you again. This is the muscle, and this is your spinal cord. So that's basically it for motor neurons. Let's move on to the last type that I'm going to talk about today, which is interneurons. Now, interneurons are also located in the spinal cord, and their main function is to connect the sensory and motor neurons. So, sensory and motor. So what that basically means is that the sensory information comes in from the peripheries, goes to the spinal cord, and then in the spinal cord, the interneurons connect the sensory neuron and the motor neuron, and then the motor neuron can then travel and send the information that it has just received from the spinal cord outwards towards the muscle to contract it. Interneurons are also bipolar. So again, that means they have two axonal processes projecting outwards from their cell body. So it looks a little something like that. Okay, so now that we've looked at the three different types of neurons, let's just look at the basic structure. Neurons consist mainly of four parts. So there's the dendrites, there's the cell body, there's the axon, and there's the presynaptic terminal. So the dendrites receive the information. They're known as the information collectors. The cell body is responsible for computing the information that has just been received. Sorry, let me just add in signal/info. And the cell body computes the info. The axon is, in a sense, the wire passing the information on. And the presynaptic terminal is responsible for passing the info on to the dendrites of the next neuron. So let me just write that in. Okay, now let's take a look at it. Okay, so let's just quickly look at what the structure is like. So I'm just going to quickly draw it and then explain it to you guys. So, as you can see, I'm going to draw a motor neuron as an example. Okay, let's just draw a long one. I'll explain what I'm drawing here in a second. Okay, and that's the basic structure. So out here we have our dendrites, and like I said, the dendrites are the first to receive the information, and then the information goes from the dendrites to the cell body, which is over here, which again computes the information, and then they travel down the axon, which is this entire portion over here, and then end up in the presynaptic terminals, which is the end portion right over here. So hopefully by this you get the gist of how the information travels from one part of the neuron to the next. So this entire unit that I've just drawn here is classified as one neuron. And like I said before, neurons are connected to one another. So that means that the cell body of here of another neuron, the dendrites of it are connected to the presynaptic terminals of the neuron before it. And then this new neuron over here, that it's connected to, that the information is going to travel to next, is referred to as the postsynaptic neuron. And this little circle that I've just made right over here represents the synapse, where the information transfers over and the two neurons communicate. Okay, I hope that's clear. I'm just going to erase this top portion here because I have 2 more things to explain to you, and I just need a little bit more room. Alright. So the axon, as you recall, is the wire that passes down the information, actually has 2 really important components to it. One is the myelin sheath, and another is the nodes of Ranvier. So the myelin sheath is just a fatty coating around the axon, and what it does is it insulates the axon and actually allows for the signal to travel faster and further down the axon. So it's really important in signal transmission. And the nodes of Ranvier, on the other hand, are these little gaps in the myelin sheath. And these little gaps are responsible for recreating something called the action potential. And they just recreate the action potential and recreate the signal and just make it stronger. So let me just label that for you here. So that is the myelin coating on the axon, and then these little gaps here are referred to as the nodes of Ranvier. And yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. Please comment below and give me feedback. I'd love to know and hear from you what I need to improve on in these videos. Yep, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.